Hello, and welcome to the Legal Environment for HR. My name's Adele Abrams, and I'm going to be your instructor this semester. I hope you enjoy the class, and I invite you to contact me through email if you have any questions about how the course is going to proceed. I'm going to be also posting additional videos for you. Some of those were recorded in previous semesters. I may look a little different, but the material on them is not outdated. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce myself to you. I also encourage you to tell me a bit about yourself on the discussion board or through an email to my office address. That's fine as well. Now, we're going to cover a lot in this semester, and it is a bit of a daunting thing at first, but I want to assure you that this is an overview course. We're going to be covering an awful lot of different laws here, and in fact, I am a practicing attorney. When I was in law school, there were probably 5 or 6 different classes that I took that touched on, in various ways, the material that we're going to be covering this semester. To start off this first week, you're going to cover 4 chapters, which is a heavier reading burden than you will be facing during the other weeks coming up. But it's going to cover not only a course overview and the evolution a bit of employment and labor law, but also the concepts of contracts. You're going to learn about employment at will. You're going to learn about different types of contracts, express contracts, implied contracts, and what those mean, how an employee handbook might end up being viewed as a binding legal document if it is written improperly. You're going to learn about other contract provisions, non-compete, non-disclosure, breaches of fiduciary duty. Those are a few concepts with which you will want to be familiar as well. I took a contracts course and it was a whole semester. You're going to be getting this as part of 1 week. So clearly I'm not going to be holding you to the levels of understanding that I would an attorney or a law student who is gaining mastery of these particular subject areas by spending a whole semester on them. The next thing you're going to cover in week 1 is tort law, and there are lots of different torts that can arise in the workplace. These days, of course, we are dealing with the Me Too movement. People are being more forthcoming about being sexually assaulted or propositioned on the job. If an actual assault occurs, that could be viewed as a tort for which the employer would be liable, aside from any employment law discrimination actions that could be brought. Beyond that, though, the biggest ones that you have are things like defamation, slander, which is a verbal falsehood about a person, and libel, which is a published falsehood about an individual. Those are the things that we're going to be dealing with here as well. You need to be conversant in those concepts. Another thing that we're going to be looking at this week for week 1 is misclassification of workers. This is a very big deal right now with the U.S. Department of Labor. And they can really throw the book at you. If that isn't enough, they can also do a cross-referral to the Internal Revenue Service if you choose to classify somebody as a contractor when they really should be considered your own employee. If somebody is misclassified, you're basically preventing them from getting the employer contribution toward their taxes, their Social Security, and FICA wages. We'll talk about employee safety nets later on in the semester that explain some of those programs a bit more. You're not contributing unemployment insurance for that individual. Then you're going to end up in court challenging whether they're eligible or not. Workers' compensation coverage. If you are calling somebody a contractor and they get injured on your watch, they can now sue you in tort for personal injury or wrongful death rather than having workers' comp as an exclusive remedy. And there are myriad other things that can be very significant in terms of misclassification, including failure to pay appropriate overtime to an individual. The point is that if your activities bring you into contact with the Department of Labor and they find that you are misclassifying workers, they can do a 3-year record audit, as has happened to a couple of clients of mine, and the penalties can be very severe on top of any wages that may be owed. and any tax consequences to your business. So make sure you understand what some of the criteria are that separate the true independent contractors from your employees. There are also some considerations in this gig economy about using temporary workers to supplement your workforce. A lot of companies went to that approach when the Affordable Care Act came out to try to keep below the triggering number of employees. At the same time, some employers also cut back workers' hours to make them ineligible for certain benefits, including the Affordable Care Act, including the Family and Medical Leave Act coverage, which requires you to work a certain number of hours. So those are some of the ripple effects of worker misclassification. So pay attention to that when you go through this chapter. Obviously, privacy rights of employees is also a very big deal, especially in our social media-centric 21st century. So our text will talk to you in some examples about cases and laws that have come out dealing with employee privacy on social media accounts, surveillance in the workplace, what you can do and what you can't do in that regard. So there's a lot of meat that you're going to be dealing with in week 1. Then I promise we're going to be backing down to 1 or 2 chapters a semester, a module. So that will make the workload a bit easier. Again, if you do have any questions about our material, let me know. I have made available to you summary PowerPoints for each of the chapters that are assigned that will be covered on our exam. So I encourage you to read those, not in lieu of reading our textbook, but as we come up on our quiz, as we come up on the final exam, those will be helpful in reviewing some of the core material or putting together an outline if you like that approach to studying. So welcome again to the semester. I look forward to a great time getting to know each of you and reviewing your discussion boards, reviewing your written assignments, the analysis research paper that will be due in mid-semester. Again, this week you should be selecting a topic for that. If you look at the materials online, I've given a number of suggested topics. Those are not binding. You can pick whatever you want, subject to my approval, of course. It should be a topic you can capture in about 10 or so substantive pages, not counting the title page, of course. And I'm asking for everybody to have a unique topic because I'm also asking you to submit an abstract. You can do it as a PowerPoint. You can write up a one-page abstract, however you prefer, to share the findings of your paper with your fellow classmates. And these are topics, ideally, that are not going to be covered in detail in our text, but still are more cutting-edge issues, whether it be service member rights or whether it be dealing with medical marijuana in the workplace in states where that's legal. So I encourage you to be creative on your paper topics, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful semester and the best of luck. Thank you.